Loved your undulations. Oh,
It's all right, just started. Oh, the back one? Hold on. Almost there. There we go. Okay, good. Oops, I gotta spotlight myself. Oh my God. There we go. Getting ready, being ready on time. How about all those things? How do those things make you feel? All right, I'm gonna mute everybody and going to move this so that I don't see it. All right, and we're going to use chairs today. And I'm outside because of global warming. It is 64 degrees out, but it feels a lot warmer than that. This outside seems warmer than my house. And I have my assistants all over the place here, but we'll start standing. And the message today, I'm just going to go with my friend Michael Taft's message, and that is inhabit your body. What does that mean? Uh, what I think that it really means is here you are in your body for the rest of your life. As long as you're alive, you're in relationship with your body. And so why not feel into that? I know that all my people in my room have already spent a lot of time doing that, but we can continue to do it. And these practices are like, oh, they're practices, right? They're not something that you do once and then, oh, I got it, it's done. It's more like, you got to keep on doing it. This is part of being human. So let's start with breathing. Inhale, reach out, feel into the space around you. What is outside of you? Inhale, gathering in, filling up, expanding, and then exhale, letting go and releasing. So inviting in all that breath, all that spaciousness. And then on the exhale, letting go. And again, inhale, open, and exhale, and release. And one more. Inhale, and exhale. Let's give it a little shake, shake, bounce, jostle, let everything go. So if you were like a bottle with a bunch of stuff inside, you want to mix it up so that everything inside is kind of evenly mixed, right? Let's say you're some salad dressing. Linda will like that one. Let's make sure that the oil and the vinegar and the salt and pepper and the mustard are all really well blended inside there. So there is no one big clump of something sitting there un unaffected. It's all happening together. I don't know. I like the food references for the body as well. Let's just do our twists, spiraling, looking around behind you, moving through the horizontal plane, checking out the space. So whenever we do this, and I'm doing it fast now, so if we slow it down and really take in the outside world, take in the environment, take in what's around you, you're giving your brainstem the information that you're safe and that you can relax a little bit. So just panning the horizon, even a small amount, looking way out in the distance, looking in the immediate vicinity, feeling into that, that is going to tell you and tell your nervous system specifically, it's okay to downregulate. I can drop down. I'm safe, right? If you really want to feel safe, look around behind you and make sure you're looking back every time. So you're like, oh yeah, there's nothing back there either. It's really safe. It's not even just that. So there's three sections of your brainstem: midbrain, pons, and then oh God, is it the medulla oblongata? Anyway, the third one. Me and my like janky and that anatomical knowledge. It's in there. It's just when I'm moving and teaching, it's not always readily available. At any rate, these different sections of our brainstem are really part of like us being people in the world. They're also really related to our face and how we do things with our face. So let's just free up our face for 1 second. So like move it around, like get all the stuff in there. We want to hydrate all that tissue. We want to release any kind of weird little holding patterns in there. So like give your face some freedom. You can stick out your tongue or make some weird faces. Let it go. Anthony's really good at that. It took me a long time to release my mouth enough to make that noise. And when I do it, it feels like a little like, ew, crusty and headachy. So don't necessarily push yourself beyond what feels good in your body. All right, let's sit down on our chairs. Yeah, so it's a chair day. Nana, or Nana, however you say it, uh, one of my people was like, "Oh, thanks for all that chair stuff. I teach chair classes." So I'm going to do another one because we haven't done one in a long time. All right, and let's just start with arching and curling. So, and let's just start with not the biggest arching and curling. So, inhale. Think of this whole front of your body like radiating outward in like orgasmic delight. Oh yeah. And then exhale. Hollow curl and soften. You can let go. Inhale. Let's add the arms. Radiate out and open. And exhale, bring it back in. So this pattern is that navel radiation from this navel, not like Naval Academy, but like navel belly button, radiating outward and then coming back in with this underlying breath support. You could even add your legs, radiate out and arch and bring it in. I'm just going to show you a little bit sideways. Radiate out, open into the world, and exhale, come back into center. Sometimes we need to open up more. Sometimes we need to nourish and enclose more, right? Sometimes we're too open. Sometimes we're not open enough. So just tuning in on a body level to what does that feel like? Does it feel good to open and radiate outward? Or does it feel good to enclose and come in? How are you inhabiting? And what feels good in there? Open and close. Two more. Radiate out, arch, open, and then exhale. Bring it in. And last one. Inhale, open, and exhale in. And these patterns, this arching or curling, like they are two really basic body patterns that, like we spend all that time, right, in the uterus, all balled up in the fetal position, right? This is a really regenerative place for us to be. But sometimes we need to be out and take up space, reach into the world. So let's actually play in sort of a different way with that. And we're going to just reach into one corner, reach into the other corner, reach and reach. And imagine that there's something that you're reaching to. So, oh, I got to grab that thing right up there. So it's like this ripple effect from center out to edge. Again, sort of a navel radiation pattern as you're reaching from one side to the other side. Yeah, finding that. And I'm kind of pushing with a leg. So actually, as I'm doing this side reach, I'm also getting this diagonal through my body. Contralateral pattern also happening, right? And then if I change it a little bit, the intention and the energy of it can become very different, right? Suddenly I feel like I am doing some Baroque dancing with this upper body, right? And let's spiral, twist, take it as far as you can go, come through the horizontal, twist again. I said take it as far as you can go. Maybe don't take it as far as you can go. Maybe take it as far as feels good right now, right? So there's sort of a rule in our bodies. It's not really a rule, but it's something that tends to be true. And that is if you do something 3 times, you're giving your body the chance to get deeper into that pattern, right? So, and I've said this before, but like in the anatomy lab, even with a cadaver, if I do a heel rock, pushing, it's laying down and pushing like this on the foot, the first move is going to just be in this part. The second time I do it, it's going to come up a little further. By the third time, even in a dead body, the movement is coming all the way up. So when we start these patterns, like living tissue responds much more quickly, obviously, and our whole body is made of living tissue. But we want to, like doing something once is not going to let that thing land as much as doing it 3 times. Not that we always have to do everything 3 times, but there's a real, like, in magic, there's often a repetition of things 3 times, like that sets the thing. Same with our bodies. When we do it at least 3 times, we let the movement land, let it work the whole way through. That's just a good thing to think about. All right, let's take it into the let's do the arch and curl. So I'm going to curl my toes, hands are out and up, lift, and then dropping it down, rounding and curling and rolling it up. Inhale, open, arch, and take it down. And then toes and fingers rounding down as you curl up. So you could think that your hands and your feet are kind of doing that same arch like your back, right? We're doing that radiating away from center, open, 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 and at the bottom we release and soften, touch down and curl and roll up. So we're hollowing up, radiating out away from center, hands and feet. Soften at the bottom, relax your head, relax your toes, relax your fingers, roll it up. And arch, open, open, open. And curl and roll it up. We're going to add a little bit more. In the arch, we're going to turn out. And in the curl, we're going to turn in. Arching, turning out. Yes, this is very Julia Horvath gyrokinesis gyrotonic. And I spent a lot of time doing gyrokinesis and gyrotonic, and I even did a teacher training. But I never did the whole licensing thing because I don't believe that anyone else owns movement. So I like to use the things I learn. And you know what? All of this stuff is also in yoga. And it's also in dance. Like, where are we initiating from? So let's internally rotate, drop our head down, and then turn out, radiate out, and open and lift. So internal, scoop, hollow, curl, surrender, and then really engage, radiating out. I got the sun behind me as a nice little uh, symbol of what is happening as we do that opening, opening, opening. So we could think of this as like the moon and the inner as we go down, and then the sun radiating out as we come up, right? The inner world, more subconscious, more hidden, and then radiating out into the open, expansive, here I am, Apollonian world, and come up. And let's get our rib cage going from side to side. So I am kind of pushing with one foot, but really I'm thinking of rib cage, rib cage. So it's really starting as if somebody's pulling me from one side and then the other. Rib cage, rib cage. I'm letting my head and neck free up. So spine is free. Yeah, and I did that undulation thing. It's so funny because the first time I saw the Susan Harper video, I was like, oh my God, I want to do that. Can I do that? And I tried to do it in this sort of like exercisey way. And it's like, no, it's really about freeing things up so that you have movement. So there's this balance between allowing the movement to happen, being free with the movement, and also like, I'm going to make this thing happen, right? Like in our exercise version, we can be making it happen a little bit more. Let's change this slightly. Let's go up and over all the way to the side. We're going to keep going till we turn down to the floor. Surrender. Let your back really release, rounding. Let's take the hand back and up, and then back and down. And we're going to look up. Arch, you can bend the back knee more or straighten it depending on how tight you are in your psoas and in your hip flexors. And then we're going to come around, spiral, look around behind you, and pick up the back leg or not. Bring it back. Serve the sandwiches. Everybody wants one. To everybody. Take it to the other side. Open, 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 as far as you can go. Turn down toward the floor and surrender. Let the arms circle back and up, and then down, up, back knee. You can even try bending and straightening. Like that, you're going to feel different things here if you bend and straighten that back knee. And then come around, spiral, lift up the leg, get that hamstring working, and then open, open, open. Serve all the sandwiches to everybody. Side stretch, big side stretch, foot and hand, right? So this is a core distal pattern, or even a distal pattern moving through core. We're stretching away from center. Take it down. Surrender, soften, let your head and neck release. Big arm circle as the hand goes up to the top. Let's leave the hand there for a second and circle your wrist a couple of times. Change direction. And then circle it down. Take the arm up and back. And in this position, again, let's circle the wrist one way and then the other, connecting through the tissue all the way down into our lungs and heart. Maybe bend and straighten that knee a few times. Open, open, open. Take it forward. Grab your chair if you have one and look around. You might be on a stool. And then release. Serve the sandwiches to everybody. Take it into the big side stretch. Letting that open up again, feeling that toes and hands reaching out and letting that go even further. So it doesn't just have to stay in a line. We can let that go further, turning down toward the floor, surrendering, taking the hand up, circles with the wrist, Feel that movement all the way into your rotator cuff. Change direction. That feels really weird and awkward. And then take it down and up. Arch back. Again, circle. Wrist, hand, fingers. Change direction. Do a couple bend and straightens in that leg. And come forward and around. And look back if you can. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. Open, open, open. Ooh, sorry. Open to there, then take it sideways. Side stretch. This time we're going to arm circle that arm. 1, 2, 3 in one direction. Change direction. 1. This is your Pete Townsend moment. 2, 3. And then we'll take it back over the top, down to the floor. Let's do the circles this way. 1, 2, 3. Change direction. 1, 2. This third one's going to bring you up. Open it back. Let's take the circles back. 1, 2, 3. Change direction. 1, 2, 3. All the way around. This time we're going to pick up the back leg and you're going to pulse it. We're actually going to go for it. Let's see. Going 1, 2, 3. Keep going. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bring it through. Serve the sandwiches. And let's all cross our fingers so that I can remember what I just did on the other side. I think I can. To the side. Big side stretch. 3 circles. Keep the circle going. 1, 2. You could add the breath. 3. Other direction. 1. Supporting if you need it down here or not. 2, 3. We take it back over the top and turn. Drop it down. Again, surrender. 3 arm circles. 1. Now I'm going to say it late in the game, but if your arm is or rotator cuff is hurting, you can always take your hand on your shoulder. Make it smaller. If you feel good, then let it go big. 1, 2, 3. The next one's going to bring you up. Keep that circling back. 1, 2. Chest, lungs, and heart. 3. You do not need to go for your maximum here. Stay in something that feels good. 1, 2, 3. Let it come all the way around. Leg up for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Down and open. Serve the sandwiches. And let's take it forward. Just relax. Hands can go down. Free up the spine, rippling from side to side. Knees as wide and open as you need them. Let your head hang. Really let it go. Soften, melt, surrender. Take a big, deep breath. You can come into the center and just stay there for a second. Breathe deep down into your belly. Inhabit your guts with your breath. Oh, and then the wind starts and picks up. Lovely. So when I say inhabit your guts with your breath, you are not actually, your breath in your lungs is not moving into your guts, but your lungs and your diaphragm are pushing down so that the pressure is pushing down into your guts, right? So you're getting this movement, and we want that. It's a travesty and a crime that women particularly, but men also, have decided that we need to like squeeze it in, hold it in, da da da. It's like no wonder people have digestive issues, right? Processing issues. If we're squishing and holding in this like tense way, we're just inhibiting the system. We're not inhabiting the system, we're inhibiting it. And mostly that's what a lot of us have learned to do really well, especially like, I mean, things like ballet. And it's not to say I do ballet and I love ballet in many ways, but there are things about it that are really restrictive. So you've got to find other ways that free the pattern, right? So we're not just going or doing a ton of Pilates and really controlling everything, but we have this place where we can take up space, breathe, make some noise, right? Not just becoming these perfect little people that can do everything just right, but having spaciousness where we can fuck it up, make a big mistake, let it go wrong, and have some space for that, right? Right? Where we mess it up and we go, oh, oops, that's what happened, right? My little cat that like has a response, a trauma response every time you pet him, unless he really wants you to pet him, which sometimes he does. All right, we're going to try something different. We're going to come off of our chair. We're going to work with that spine. I'm going to take off the sweater and let my inner Adam ant shine. There is my inner Adam ant right there, looking good. I gotta say, I saw him in concert a couple of years ago. It was probably just before the pandemic. And man, dancing around, doing everything like, and he's like, I don't know, in his 60s. He was looking good. So I think he lived a really clean life. I think he's always been a teetotaler. But another one is Mick Jagger, right? Like he works out like crazy. He's been doing his workout routine for like an hour or more every day for his whole life so that he can do all that dancing on stage, right? It's not just random dancing. He has a plan and he practices. Let's take it into this arching and curling. So I'm going to start with my knees bent. I'm going to stick out my butt, and I'm actually just going to reach backwards with my pelvis, reaching back with my sit bones, reach, 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 and then I'm going to take it forward with my chest and sternum over my arms. As I'm doing that, let's just do a little pump there as we move the shoulders up and then down. Up, forward, shoulders moving, and forward, shoulders moving, and forward. We're still in our arch, taking it back, butt back, and then chest forward and a little retraction, drawing the lats down and then drawing them up. Our shoulder blades moving up to your ears and down. We're going to make this more exciting in a minute. We're going to circle in a minute, but let's go into a curl. So we're pushing, taking it forward and taking it back. Just forward and backward. We're not going to do anything extra here because you're already kind of in there. Letting your weight shift, rounding your spine. Take it back as far as you can in that rounded position. If you need to walk back further, go for it. Let your head drop. Moving forward and back. So we're doing this forward, backward, upward, upper versus lower, homologous pattern of movement, forward versus upper versus lower, forward, backward, or not forward, backward in this way, but upper, lower, push-pull patterning, stealing a little cat to squeeze him. He doesn't care. He loves it. All right, and then we're going to start to play with the rippling. So you're going to start with your pelvis, and you can bend your knees, but let your pelvis release and let that ripple and wave up to your head. So it's like a scoop and a ripple, scoop and a ripple. I'm going to show this so you can actually see more of my body. Yeah, so there's like this wave happening. It could happen from the top to the bottom, and actually in this position, it's easier or easier than in any other position, or maybe standing's easier, I don't know. But for me, rippling up. So it doesn't have to be the biggest movement. It's not that we're trying to make huge movement. It's that we're trying to send a wave through our body. And you may find that there's one part where you're like, wow, it really kind of sticks in there. So if it does, don't get too hung up on that. Don't get hung up on it. Just think of moving past it. So it doesn't matter if it's a little stuck, just move on to the next place where you feel the movement being more easy. And then change the direction sometimes. And if you feel like, oh my God, I'm so sick of this, I need some side-side movement, go ahead and add that, right? So freeing up the whole spinal pattern. We've done so much movement in that seated position. Now we can let it go from this weird quadruped where we're standing on our feet. So we're getting different information into our bodies than if we were on our knees and hands. So I'm going to open a little wider and really let myself move, some side-to-side movement there. Letting my feet move. I'm actually going to let go of my chair and just drop down into this pattern that we normally start class with, but we didn't today. But my body loves it because it's just another type of undulation, right? From the tail to the head, through the lateral side-side movement. Yeah, and whenever you're ready, let's come up to stand for a second. Shake it out. Just let yourself get vertical for a minute. Let your blood return to this version, right? When we're in all these positions, your body is adjusting. It's great for your fascia because we're having the water is going to pool downwards, which is going to hydrate our body in a different way. But when we come back up, we want to just give ourselves a second. Like if you find that you're getting dizzy a lot when you get up, just let it happen slower. Don't rush off to do the next thing. Just give yourself a minute. we're just going to circle the pelvis. Now, we've done so much spinal movement in so many sort of different ways. See if it feels different, if you feel more open in your spine or maybe not, or maybe that weird stuck part has a little bit more aliveness. Change direction. And the stuckness might kind of just be a perceptual pattern that's happening in your brain. It might not be as stuck as you're perceiving, or it might be worse. Who knows? Yeah, so circling around pelvis, let the feet free up. So let's get into the feet for that. And then the other direction. And let's add some circles in the shoulders, rib cage, lungs, and heart. Oh, that's the other pattern I want to do. We'll get back to that in a second. Change direction. So feel what this circle is like as you're circling your shoulders around your body, and I'm letting my whole body sort of free up. And let's go a little bit bigger. So it's like, oh, arms and shoulders and elbows are in there. And then going back, same thing. Feeling this connected pattern of arms into the body, into your body that you're inhabiting right now. All right, let's now take it back to this chair position, and I'm going to circle my shoulders. You can hold your thing, you can hold your chair like this. If you're having any kind of wrist issues and being in this flexion is uncomfortable, find a different way, or just play with it anyway. I don't have any wrist issues, but it just feels good to hold on this way. So I'm going to circle myself inside of my arms. So I'm kind of stabilizing my arms, mobilizing my body, and then changing direction whenever you feel like it. So it tends to be, in my experience, that most people in our culture have a fair amount of holding in the shoulders, in the relationship of the arms to the body, and in this upper, this upper section, which can then cause tightness in other sections, right? So, and it's not that we have to be hypermobile and everywhere. This movement might be pretty small. We just want to get some hydration and some mobility in there. Okay, and let's let that go. And let's come down onto our backs, let me bring this just a little closer. Onto our backs, I'm going to offer that you can grab your weights if you want them. And I've got these little 3-pound weights. But we're going to come onto our backs with our legs on the chair. So this is a great calf release. And we'll start with just you're going to just give yourself a minute to use your chair, wake up your feet, moving your feet and ankles, and I'm rubbing my calf right on that edge of my chair. This chair I bought at some big box store for like $8. So I highly recommend getting one of these folding chairs that have the rounded edges. For this type of work, it's like, oh, it's so much better than, I was working on all sorts of weird folding chairs made out of wood with, crunchy edges. This is so much more comfortable. And I don't even mean the padded ones. It's just rounded so I can get in there with my calf and really massage it out, right? So I can take my time. If I was going to spend a lot more time with this, I would probably do some theta breath, like letting out that steam to give my body the information that we're down regulating and we're going into a healing mode, right? If I'm all upregulated and somebody's trying to work on my body and heal me, that might not happen very quickly, right? The healing and the processing happens when we down regulate, which means we're slowing down the exhale. We're letting the parasympathetic rest, digest, soothe, and settle part of our autonomic nervous system come online. Yeah, so we want to slow down a bit for that, right? If we're just right in the middle where we're neither, and everyone's system is going to be different. Like some people will be more naturally upregulated, some people will be more naturally downregulated. All right. But if we come into that middle place, that's a good operating place. You can go either direction, right? You can amp up or you can slow down. And both of them are necessary in our lives. Like, oh, I got to get a little bit amped up because I'm going to teach a class, I'm going to do something, I need to be in my sympathetic a little bit so that I can have action. but I also need to be able to come into the parasympathetic so I can digest my food, I can digest my life, I can digest what's going on. All right, enough of that. Let's do some rolling up and down. So since we are working with this undulation pattern, I'm just going to invite you to play with it from this position. So I could come up and ripple through. And if that's too much, just go up and down, right? If you feel like, oh my God, what the hell is she talking about? I've had enough of this. I just want to move and get some exercise, then come into just this pushing up and coming down. But if you want to keep playing with the undulation pattern, you can play with it here. Yeah, so this should be called, and I'll probably change the title, Inhabit Your Body and Undulation. Right, so even as I'm doing this, like part of my awareness is going into this pattern, making the undulation, and another part is hanging out with my calves on the edge of this chair. Yeah, so another thing to say is like if the pain is so strong, like if the calf pain, say I'm here, and it's like, oh my God, I can't take it, and it's causing more tension, it's not going to release you that much, right? So that's not necessarily the best way to start to release tension by adding more, which is why you want to find that sweet spot where it's you can feel it, there's sensation, but it's not creating more tension. I'm talking about if you're getting a massage or you're working on yourself, you're foam rolling, whatever it is, take it all the way down and let's give it a shake. Having said that, there are some exceptions to the rule. Like I've done some really intensely painful types of massage that in the long term actually healed a lot of stuff, healed a lot of the soft tissue injuries in my body. But I've also done some of the most gentle, like twee-na stuff that has healed stuff so quickly. So it's all possible. Let's come into our rolling side to side pattern on with a happy baby. Let that massage out your back. Breathe into it. Yeah, so there used to be a doctor in the city called Dr. Ting, and I have to say he must have been thanked on more dance programs than anything else because he was amazing. He healed a bunch of injuries for me, or helped me heal a bunch of injuries that like no Western doctor could have worked with so quickly. And it was just, using the soft tissue. So like seeing Dr. Ting and then studying connective tissue therapy and then like doing a lot of anatomy and a lot of movement stuff really changed my perspective on how my body needs to heal on that sort of physical soft tissue level. Internally rotate, feet are wide, one leg at a time. But even, this could be relating to our bones and the sockets, right? I mean, bones aren't really soft tissue, but they are part of the support structure of our body and they are alive, right? And they have fluid in them. They are fluid packed. Let's take this a little deeper. So bringing it in, crossing all the way over, big spiral, letting that massage through your back. So right now for me, specifically what I'm getting out of this is it's releasing in my hips. So kind of above my glutes even, like just almost the top, like that whole sort of arc of the top of my ischium. This whole top of the bone, sometimes that gets tight on me. So this rolling across and spiraling, but particularly it's really the roll. It's the bottom half that's getting more of the work than the top half, to be honest. So that's what's happening for me in my hips. And then also the space between my shoulder blades in my rhomboids really opens up. Like the side that's on the floor is getting this opening in there right next to the bone of my scapula. So that always feels really good for me. So those are some of the things that are happening in my body when I do this exercise, right? Other things are happening too. Okay, let's get rid of our chairs for a little while and move in some other ways. So either fold it up, put it away in any way, organize the the couch a little bit. Let's go this way. Let's look out into the world, coming down onto the floor. Let's do hands behind your head. Let's come into a ball. So we're in that curled in pattern, right? And we're going to take one leg out. Try to stay touching with your elbow to your knee. And then come in, reach it out, bring it in. Reach it out, crossing your body, contralateral pattern, reach and in. Add some breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. No reason you can't do some breath work while you're exercising. Now I'm just opening the top and leaving it. Let's change it again. Going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And relax. So I switched to a double inhale, a double exhale. Learning how to do some of these patterns, whether you're walking, working out, or just being still, they're great patterns to get into your body. We'll do it again in just a second. Let's just pick up. So this is a different one than I think we've ever done before. You're going to pick up, shift your pelvis over, and then lower down. So you should be kind of on the edge of your mat. Pick it up, bring it back into center, high, and then lower down. Pelvis up, shift it over, and lower down. Pick it up, shift to center, and lower down. And let me just say, if we distilled this and made it much smaller, it would be the lateral pelvic shift from Bartenia fundamentals, which would just be a small lift, a small shift, and drop. Lift, shift, drop. Center to the side, drop it down. Come up, back to center, drop it down. But I have found that this big, huge one that's much more exercisey is great. So go for the big one if you feel like it. Right? I need, say that, a variety pack of some things that are really small and subtle, and then some things that are really big and expansive and moving. But that's because the demands that I place on my body in my life, dancing, performing, doing pole, charging around, all that stuff, are big. Like I need to be able to move a lot. Let's come back in. Take your knees in. Big circles. As you're circling, let your spine release. So there's a little teeny undulation wave happening in my spine as I do these circles. I'm not inhibiting it. Change direction. Going for a range of motion that feels good, but it's fairly large for your body, right? The ROM, the range of motion. And then taking your hands down by your sides, legs up, opening it out. I'm going to flex on the way down. Let's go as big as you want to go with this. You can let your butt peel off the floor or not. Opening and taking it down, or small, whatever feels good to you. And you can also take this up if you want to go a little bit more intense, where you're pushing up. I'm really using my arms for that push up, right? I'm coming here. I'm doing a big push because I want to work my triceps. I could roll it without working as hard, but I'm actually making it a little harder so that I'm working the back of my arms. That's just an option. All right. Shake it all out, shake it all out. Free up your spine, free up your head, tail. Let it go and come back in. And let's grab the weights, which I told you to pick up a long time ago and haven't used yet. So knees are going to come together. Feet are pigeon-toed and knock-kneed. We're going to circle around, holding onto the weights. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Using your breath. Letting that also massage out your back as your arms are moving around. If that hurts in your rotator cuff, then get rid of the weights. Change direction or just use one weight, right? Yeah, so I have in between my two hands, I have 2 3-pound weights, right? They're very light, but they might be heavy for you. So really listen into your own body. Our bodies are different. Different things are going to be easier. Different things are going to be harder. This is our last one. The cats are funny. As soon as the door gets shut, then they want to go in and out. All right. Yeah, somebody inside just shut the door. Let's do another thing here. Let's just take the hands wide, elbows are bent. You're just going to push up, rotate in, rotate out, come down, up, rotate in. Let's rotate in enough that we're going to try and touch our elbows together. Rotate out, come down, up, rotate in. Feel your scapula moving out and down, up, in. So this is really, maybe it's sort of muscular for you, but mostly what I'm trying to do is get the fascia to be more mobile. What's the fascia? It's everything that's holding you together. It's the organ of form. It's what used to be thrown out in the bucket in the dissection lab as being the unimportant stuff. But really, it's the sort of matrix of your whole body holding you together, made up of fluid, lots of water, of varying densities. Some of it's very gel-like, like aspic or jello, and some of it's really watery. And then there's also fiber in there. So it's like these fluids and fibers at various levels of density. So like our IT band, that's sort of the most dense type stuff, or our ligaments, the stuff that's really strongly holding us together. And then like the fluids, there's also sort of different layers of it. And some are more sort of gelatinous, but they still have really great structure and form, especially if we move, right? If we don't move, it becomes kind of felt like boiled wool, less organized. But if we move a lot, it becomes much better, much more organized and movable, pliant, right? That's what we want. All right, let's do opening up into a arms out to the side, coming up with a fly, going 1, 2. Again, you can get rid of the weights if you need to. 3. These are pretty light. 4. But when, I don't know, especially for women, if we don't have the sort of integrity within our joints and within our body, then we want to be gentle and careful about building strength, right? You don't want to go from 0 to 60 real fast. You want to take your time. Might be different if you are, depending on your age also. Like if you're a lot younger, you got a lot more leeway. If you're older, just take it slow, take it easy, be careful. Okay, that's enough of those. Let's get rid of the weights and come into a side plank. So I'm going to come onto a bent knee and a bent elbow side plank. I'm going to press up, arching back, rounding in. So there's a curl. Inhale, open. Exhale, curl. Inhale, open. Exhale, curl. Arch. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Use the breath, right? Get that movement through the diaphragm. Look how big my cat looks when he's down eating some, what are you eating? I think he's eating some cardboard. Let's switch it to the other side. So that cat likes to get up on the counter in the kitchen and steal things. So one thing that he stole was a hot chili pepper, and it was found, he brought it up to my room, completely gnawed, a pretty big one, like gnawed to death and carried upstairs. I'm like, what's going on in this cat's mind and mouth? Anyway, plants. He's got a thing for things that are green. And it's not so much that he wants to eat them, it's that he wants to play with them. Inhale, open, exhale. He recognizes their living nature. And then he slaughters them because he is a cat. And there doesn't seem to be any kind of other prey in the house besides the plants. Three more. 2. Last one. Right, and coming in. Let's go onto our butts and spiral. Just massaging out your hips and your butt. So I love it now. I feel like what's happening in the movement world and movement culture is becoming so much more open. There's so many people I follow on Instagram and see what they're doing. I'm like, oh, now the chiropractor is doing the thing I learned in the Laban school 25 years ago and talking about how important it was or is. Anyway, not that I know everything. I'm still learning tons of stuff all the time. But I see so much stuff is now getting some value in the culture. And this is one of the things. I saw a football team doing this exercise which we've been doing for a long time. I'm like, oh, look at that. How awesome. They're releasing their hips. They're opening up their hearts and lungs. That is great. So we're going to take it and make it a little different. You're going to take it down onto one side, soften to the floor, roll it up. A little bit more undulation. It can be an arch down and a curl up, or it can be a curl down and an arch up. Just play with it, or it can be a ripple where you're breaking all the rules, and you could even add some side-sideness. So feel free to make it your own. We'll do it for one more, whatever it is you're doing, and then switch it to the other side. Taking it down. So again, we're working with that spinal undulation, and we're also working with freeing up the pattern, letting it go. Adding your side-side movement. Let your spine have some freedom and mobility. Don't do it so it hurts. Do it so it feels good. Open and lift, and we're going to change it again. We're going to take our hands down. We're going to reach the back foot out, and we're going to take this into a plank. We're going to put our knee down. Back foot bends. We go over to the other side. Let me move my weights. Back foot reaches out. Bottom foot reaches out. Bottom foot folds in. Back foot folds in. Paint the rainbow. Over to the other side. Back foot reaches out. Bottom foot reaches out. Bring it in. Fold it and open. Back foot. Other foot. Fold it in. Fold it in. Open it up. Back foot. Other foot. Fold it in. Fold it in. So this is really a mobility exercise. I wanted to say a mobility drill, but I think the word drill, it just reminds me too much of the dentist. Although the power drill for household projects is probably one of my favorite items. Just how the language is that we use for the movement that we're doing affects the way that we feel about the movement we're doing, right? So mobility training, it's still like, oh, we have to work really hard. But what if we're just playing with possibilities here? Last one. So that was some work, right? Let's circle our wrists. Breathe. Ideally, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. I really highly recommend the book Breathe by James Nestor. If you haven't read it, read it. Sometimes it takes us a long time to dig into patterns. Like I was taking intensive breathwork training courses for over a year, and I still didn't want to tape my mouth. And then I started taping my mouth. I'm like, why didn't I do this before? All right, let's go back. I have one more thing to do with that mobility business, with the side one. So we're going to take our knee down. The other foot is going to come in front. We're going to come up into sort of a side plank, arch back, and then circle down and come around. Knee drops, foot plants, lift and arch, and then circle it down, coming around and up, down, and circle. Yeah, you could make your own mobility drills. These aren't like hard, fast rules, right? God didn't say there's only one way that you can do this, and nor did the goddess. She's like, play with it, see what else can happen. Okay, that's enough of that. And I'm kind of getting crampy because I've had more coffee than water this morning. So shake it out, let it go. Let me look at the time. Yeah, we're just going to do a quick stretch and we'll end it. Yeah, I'm not running off to pole class these days because I'm going to meditation class with Michael Toft. And so, which I've also been doing now for quite a long time. And I also wanted to say, just to add, that I'm planning to run a course on, it's really going to be geared towards patterning and side stretch, pointed or flexed feet, and really leaning into embodiment, particularly for meditators, particularly for people who've got a practice that's really something, but they are sort of lacking the presence with the body. Inhale, lift. So I'm going to use like a lot of the frameworks as sort of living frameworks, the things that I teach in my class, but I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about them, how they benefit us, but also feeling into them. So that is my plan, probably somewhere in 2023, like maybe January or February. Taking it down, and it'll be like a small 25 people size course. And then over to the other side. Yeah, as I get it set up, I will give you more information on that. And then take it into center. The other people that would really benefit from it are movers, dancers, exercise people that don't have that, that have the discipline, they have the embodiment, but they don't have the depth in the meditation practice. Like it'll be a way of getting deeper into your meditation if you are already embodied, or learning more about embodiment if you've got a deep meditation practice. All right, taking it from side to side, free up the spine. This could be up here. You could be lifting from the back. Let yourself move wherever it is. You can go forward and backward. There's the train. I don't know if you guys can hear it. You probably can. It's pretty loud. And then coming up, bringing it in, bang it up and down, rotate in and out. Again, I'm just going to roll across my hips because being in that open position can tighten up the outside of my hips in a weird way because it's all coming together. In fact, one of the times where I had the most outer hip, sorry, I've got the hiccups, outer hip weirdness was when I was really working on my middle split. So this part started to hurt. It's all part of the thing. Let's do a quick hip stretch. I'm going to go knee over knee. You can leave the bottom leg straight if you need to. And I'm going to just circle around, taking my awareness in. And again, this is allowing an undulatory pattern, a sort of spiraling undulation through my spine, thinking of freeing up the whole head-tail connection. Yeah, so the course isn't going to be an exercise course at all. It's going to be really digging into each of the layers of what these things mean and what they do and how we bring them online in the sort of, I want to say the conceptual living framework of our understanding of being within ourselves, of being humans in bodies on the earth. Change direction if you haven't changed it. And it'll probably be once a week for, I'm thinking, an hour and 15 minutes. So it'll be a lot of talk, Q&A, and then also movement. But movement that could be seated, where you're just finding a pattern inside your body with micro movement. So it might be some micro, some macro, but really not anything that people who have movement limitations can't do. Like even if you can breathe, you'll be able to do it. So shift it over to the other side. And I'll be layering in sort of the conceptual frameworks of the Laban work, the Bartenieff work, the some of the continuum work, and some of the breath work practices. A lot of stuff from Huberman, but just the stuff. I mean, he's still very mechanical in the way that he's looking at things. And I'm coming from a more biomorphic, alive, living system way of dealing with the body. So not scientific reductionist. Although that's getting deep these days. So, what once was magic becomes science at some point. And like with all the neuroscience and everything going on, things are shifting. But sometimes I feel like people are just looking slightly in the wrong direction, that they're missing all the stuff, like the fascia, right? Dissections have been going on for hundreds of years, and that was what got thrown out. And now we're understanding how much of an alive living system, even an electrical system, it is in our body as it shifts from these different states of being more fluid, more gel-like. Let it go, shake it out. But even, we can approach our bodies as these objects from the outside that this, oh, my knee, there's something wrong with it. Somebody needs to fix that. Or we can be in these like participatory processes with it of like, what's happening in there? What can I do in my body to help support the healing process in my own body? Let's bring our feet underneath us, taking the knees forward and back so that we are these biomorphic participatory events that are happening in this moment, right? A lot of stuff has happened to us which may have lodged within our bodies, but we're only ever dealing with this moment in reality, whatever that means. Let's take our butt up to the ceiling, open our feet wide, and shift from side to side. Actually, I don't want to say we're only ever dealing with this moment. I want to say we're only ever present in this moment. Right. And come in, roll it all the way up. Inhale, open. And exhale. So really also I'm thinking that the course is for people that are very cerebral, that are really in their heads, because I'm going to lay out a lot of frameworks that you can lay your head right into and go, oh, now I can conceptualize it like this and maybe bring it into my body. Inhale, open. Shake, 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 without separating yourself from what is actually going on, like forcing it in, not forcing it in, allowing it, inviting it, working with it that way. All right, that is the end. And if you are in TV land, feel free to buy me a coffee or become a Patreon subscriber. Come to my real class.